My life be like, yeah, my life be like.
Hello there! In the summer of 2020, 21 students undergoing the Executive Education Lead Program at Stanford University Graduate School of Business expressed what role grit has played in their careers and lives, and how they later in life reflected on the concept of grace. The students were around 40 years old. The idea was to gather some life experiences and share that with today's college students. There will be an unexpected twist at the end of this podcast, especially for you, so stay tuned. Let us first get a grip on what we are talking about today. One of the most renowned scholars studying grit is Professor Angela Duckworth, and she defines grit as follows: perseverance and passion for long-term goals. Grit entails working strenuously toward challenges, maintaining effort and interest over years despite failure, adversity, and plateaus in progress. The gritty individual approaches achievement as a marathon. His or her advantage is stamina, whereas disappointment or boredom signals to others that it is time to change trajectory and cut losses. The gritty individual stays the course. We will now listen to short stories or important statements from several of the Stanford students. Looking at the future of your career now, what do you think about the essence of acting more graceful to soften balance the grit you have used so far? I think you can't have blinders. Opening up yourself and your life to other opinions and perspectives is useful as you pursue your own goals. People notice performance under trying circumstances and admire achievements, as long as those achievements do not come at a cost to society or the smaller group observing the grit. One can act benevolent, but it only really carries weight after you have achieved something in that specific area. As I grow up, I have realized that what got me to where I am today might not take me to my next target. Because of this, I have taken up gracefulness amongst many other attributes to look the part and play the role of my next destination. This, together with grit, makes me a missile. It's easy to act assertive, even aggressive when you put more hours, don't give up when others give up, and treat those people with disrespect and without grace simply because you worked harder and accomplished more. That will only get you this far. What will get you much further is how you treat people, how people feel around you, and what connections you can make while not giving up. In my life, I've noticed that when I am pushing hard and at the same time treating people with respect, attention, and grace, there is much more commitment, collaborations, and support from all sides. And that's what matters most when you are trying to accomplish your goals. It's support of other people and their desire to help you. And one of the ways to get that support is to be graceful. The fine difference between grit as something grim and dogged and grit as a virtue of perseverance and self-belief can be how accepting we are with our own weaknesses and failures. Being gracefully gritty allows us to be patient with us and to allow for some detours along the road to where we want to go. Rome was not built in a day, and we won't succeed with everything we dream for in 2 weeks. We often get taught by society that we need to be fast, effective, straightforward in our achievements. No holes in your CV, no time off, no detours, no mistakes. Grit is not an explanation for a picture-perfect career as our society wants to have it. That's why we need gracefulness in there, to allow us to breathe and accept where we are right now at this moment. As long as we see clear on where we want to go, it doesn't matter if we arrive there in 2 weeks or 20 years. As a woman, I have often been asked to smile more, which is funny because my sense of humor has been a signature strength that combined with grit has been a successful combination. I do not know how many successful men receive mentorship which includes, "Hey buddy, you should smile more." Why are women asked to tone down their grit, particularly when they are successful? I have found success and acceptance combining grit with gratitude. My grit and resilience allows me to explore new dimensions without fear of failure. I am not reckless but fearless, as I know at minimum I will have learned something new about myself or a topic. Even better, if I fail, I will most certainly find the humor in that failure and use it as an example to encourage others to take chances, as they will survive. I hope my grit inspires others to explore the many dimensions and talents they have yet to discover within themselves. Grit does not have to be ugly. Grit is not winning at all costs. To me, grit includes winning with integrity and ethics. Grit can be a fire that is inside that nobody sees, with the exception that your fortitude is unfazed in the face of failure and setbacks. Expressing gratitude to those people and teams that support you through those gritty times is the key. I think that being graceful should go hand in hand with grit. I believe that true leadership or great leaders are those leaders who practice gracefulness through having compassion, consideration for others, being approachable, and truly having empathy for others. These characteristics have served me well both professionally and personally. Gracefulness and grit can be practiced together and should not be exclusive of each other. It is a 100% certainty that at a certain stage of your career, it is important to dial down the grit and ramp up the grace. It's a dial and not a switch, and finding a balance between the two is incredibly important. The grit is essential to overcome adversity, but it is useless if we cannot thank what we have achieved every day. My parents have always taught me to be grateful for what we have and what destiny gives us every day. I think this provides us with the balance to fight with determination, give everything we have within us, and accept when something is not achieved. And sometimes the destiny gratified us with something better in our future. I remember that my childhood dream was to be an airplane pilot just like my father, and I believe that it was my only destiny. I had the opportunity to study as a pilot in the Air Force, but failed to be a pilot, and I had to change to administrator officer in the Air Force. At first, I had hate and anger. Still, I remembered that my parents taught me to overcome adversity, be grateful for what I had, and look for new opportunities that the destiny opened for me. This led to be a better future than I was imagining it. In retrospect, I look back and I am grateful for everything that has happened to me and the opportunity to live each day with my family. I think I was very often achieving the target and thinking already about the next, not being really thankful to the life and to myself for what I achieved. I was also not fully living and enjoying the moment, but more looking always into the future. This brought some feeling of imbalance, and now I try hard to change it to a more balanced way. I believe it is quite necessary to be graceful in everything we do, especially if it touches other individuals. People will remember you for what you make them feel. Therefore, being graceful to them is crucial. I think being graceful for me is to care for people and their feelings, being determined without walking over somebody, treating everyone with respect. Examples from my own life will be a contest for a job position with other candidates during my internship. We were 10 and there were only 5 contracts to be given. It was very important to maintain solid, respectful relationship of mutual care and support rather than making competitive wars. Since the friendship foundation was already built in the past, it was very easy to reconnect and continue from positive spirits. I believe that finding a way to balance my strong determination and high standards with a more graceful and softer approach will play a big part in my self-developmental work at this moment. When you give more space for creativity and for having fun during the process, you may end up with even better results. Also, when you gain more experience, it gets easier to understand where you should focus your time and energy and what kinds of activities are simply not worth it. What kinds of tasks and projects bring you joy, fulfillment, learning, flow? And what kinds of activities leave you drained, frustrated, and end up not yielding the results you expected? I've been asking myself these questions a lot lately and making different decisions about how I'm going to spend my time. Being graceful and compassionate are essential to success, not just grit. One can be tough, but also smile, be a team player, and humane above all. Grit is within oneself, not to be applied to others. This is important. It is internal strength and not force against others. This is a fine balance act. When you put in a lot of grit and you're rewarded by success, the success is something you are very proud of and something you want to share. You need to share this success with caution and in the right occasions. I have always tried to work really hard and show results and let the results be my proof of success. I strongly believe that it is always better to shoot the bear before you sell the skin, not the other way around. Trust and be patient that your organization will acknowledge your hard work, and if they don't, then they are not worthy of your grit. It's very difficult not to react when someone says or does something to you. But in most cases, they are using it to get a reaction from you, usually a negative one, which they can then use against you later. My experience, and in looking ahead, is just not to react, not to be baited, to speak up when something is not working as it should, use proper communication channels, and let the rest play out. I am not afraid to speak my mind, but it's not what I say, it's how I say it. I think a sustainable world is one that has a good balance of grit and grace, and I see myself acting gracefully when I'm serving others with what I have on my hands. Coming back in the design thinking history, nowadays I lead a community to help people understand and apply the principles of empathy, collaboration, and experimentation in their professional and personal lives. I always try to balance grace with grit, and I do not see them as being at odds ends with each other. The essence here is to maintain steady performance by focusing and being firm on a subject matter whilst acting in a soft and elegant manner towards other people. I've always balanced my grit with grace. I've always been a nurturing leader. I behave authentically and embrace my feminine qualities. Most of all, despite life's challenges, I've always approached and endured adversity with my sense of humor. When you enter the executive ranks, it is important to be able to execute with grace. Grit will always be part of my identity, but now the confidence to project ease under pressure is what my team needs to observe from its leader, me. Being gritty in the wrong environment can be interpreted as insecurity. Grit enables confidence. Grit fosters the ability to stay quiet in a meeting and just listen, to leave work and focus on yourself with no need to demonstrate your commitment to your role. Grit is a powerful tool to develop. I wish you the best on your journey. To conclude, it is clear that setting a clear long-term goal of what you really want to achieve is essential to go through thick and thin in life and career. Many executives also mention the need for courage, to stand up for one's ideas, stand up for your principles, and pursue that goal with courage. Find your way to find your courage. Acting with grace is often about being a bit more elegant, to think in a larger picture than yourself and your own work. Many students, however, talk about being more happy and feeling more joyful with yourself. Now go out there and conquer the world.